You guys want to know everything there is to know about building a bait barrel? Oh. Let's go. You're not going to want to miss this. All right, so let's dive into actually building the standard bait barrel with the fold-in tabs. I've already taken our template. So we have this template you can get off our website we talked about. What I normally do is just cut this headline off so I can get this line right here, right up to the bottom rung or the top rung right underneath. All right, so really all we're gonna do is drill holes right here in each four corner. And we're gonna drill those holes, anywhere from 3/8 to a 1/2 inch in diameter. And really all that does is just relieve these corners right here so you can fold these tabs in. All right, and I don't have a punch here, so I'm just gonna take just a sharp end of the screwdriver. And really all I'm trying to do is just chip the paint a little bit. So really that's all I really want to do is I just want to have 4 nice marks right there. So when I drill the holes, I can just take my paper off and I can drill these holes. And then we're just going to use either like a die cut or a plasma, and we're just going to cut an X right here. Now we're just going to cut right between these 2 diagonal holes right here. We're not going to cut anything here, of course. So we're just going to cut those 2 lines, and then we can fold our tabs in. All right, now we've cut our X, and now we can just fold our tabs in once this cools down just a little bit. And what we'll do there is we'll just get some pliers and we'll just finish mashing those down. And then once I cut the lid off, I'll reach in there with a hammer and pound them down flat. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is build the lid for the top. And I'm just gonna go about 3/4 of the way up. And then I'm gonna put something heavy on this board just so I can use the plas and run right across here and get a nice straight line. Then we're also gonna cut down, and we're gonna cut all the way around this tab. And then that's gonna be our lid right there. And then we'll put a hasp or something right here to close the lid. So it don't really matter how you do this, whether you want to cut. You can see some of our bait barrels have a hole cut right in the top, and then we welded some flat bar on for some lips for the lid to catch on. It don't really matter. This way is just easier because it helps most of your cutting is around the front, so you don't get the moisture. And then once you put the hinge on right here, that'll keep a lot of your water out as well. A little bit, some cracks and some holes. It really ain't a big deal. You're just trying to keep the rain from just totally pouring in on that bait. They're going to rake a lot of it out on the ground anyways. And so this is just a nice, easy way, quick. I think you could do it with a cutoff wheel as well. It'd be a little tougher, but you could do the same thing with just a nice sharp cutoff wheel. Cut across here and across the front. Do something for an attachment to keep the lid closed, and you're good to go. All right, here's a closer look. So really we just cut across the top, and then we come down and went all the way around the side and the front back to the center. So now right here I'll weld on a hinge, and then we'll have a nice hinged lid. All right here you can see those tabs on the inside that we folded in, and I just took a hammer and pounded them down nice and flat. So now we're nice and smooth around those edges. Okay, so right here, I forgot what I should have did when I came around is I should have dropped down and made a little bit of a lip right here, just so we could put that hasp right here, and left myself a little bit of a lip to catch on. And I've got a little bit of room there, but just not quite enough. If I would have dropped down even just another 1/2 inch right there, and just built a little bit of a tab right there, that would have helped a lot. So I'm just going to take the pliers and I'm just going to cut a notch right there so I can just put this right here, and then we can have a way to lock the lid. We normally don't lock the lid, but you know, put a carabiner through it or something like that. So I went to Home Depot. I bought some 3.5-inch hinges. Like I said, I would have rather had a piano hinge to go all the way across right here, but their piano hinge was just really thin and chintzy. So I got these heavier duty clamps or hinges right here, and we'll just take these and probably put one there, one here in the middle, and one over here on this side. It's not really that big a deal. I mean, as long as this lid don't accidentally get left open, that they're not going to mess with it too much. They might try to push on it here a little bit, and we might have some destruction. And if we do, I'll come back and put on a piece of piano hinge. But I just couldn't find any here locally today. And but I think this will work just fine. I'll get some bolts. I don't have the welder here, so I'll get some bolts and get these bolted in, or maybe self-tappers. And then, like I said, as long as we get our lid shut, normally they don't mess with it too much. Sometimes the cubs and the smaller bears will get up on top of it, but I don't think that's going to really affect us. If it does, I can always put a piece of flat bar across here and then put the hinges on, just try to stiffen it up a little bit. But honestly, I think it's going to be just fine. We're just going to take a measuring tape here, and I'd leave a 1/2 inch from the ends. Just bring these hinges in right here, about a 1/2 inch from the end approximately. And then if we just kind of split the difference here, looks like 5 inches, 5 inches. So that's really, like I say, it's just a bait barrel. It's not a big deal. Then I'm just going to kind of center them up here. And then just mark some holes. Then I'll grab a drill bit and just drill these holes and just bolt it for now. All right, all done. You want to make sure you lay the tall side of the hinge up so the lid will fold all the way back. If you lay it flat like this, your hinge will stop and your lid will stop. You want to be able to fold that lid all the way back so it's out of your way. So hinge side up. What we got left is just put our hasp on here. All right, we're gaining ground. We've got the hinges on. The only last thing we have left to do before we paint the barrel is to knock some holes in the sides. So I'm going to put a hole here, and I'm going to put a hole here, and then the same thing on the opposite side. So with these holes here, we can either just use a pliers and we can knock a hole, or we can do the X system and do the tabs like we've done on the when we built this hole right here. Either way, it don't really matter. You can even just drill some holes. You just got to make sure they're big enough. Sometimes the tie down straps are a little funky getting in a small hole. So make sure your hole's big enough for your tie down straps. And they also allow good scent to get out of the barrel, and not much water is going to get in there. It's not going to hurt much, especially on the sides of the barrel. I wouldn't go too big though, because you don't want the bears to try to get bait out of those holes. You just want them small holes so you can get the tie down strap in there, but you don't have a lot of critters crawling in there and things like that. So probably keep them under 1.5 inch size holes just to keep the small critters out. Holy, that's a lot of work. So we are ready to paint. I'm going to wipe this barrel down and we're going to spray it. I just got some Rust-Oleum. Look at the size of that can. I found this at Home Depot, 24-ounce can. And it's just metal, Rust-Oleum metal paint. They're kind of spendy. And really, you don't even need to paint your barrel. We're going to go with white just because, like I've said in the other videos, you can kind of search through the series here. We cover a lot of info about color of barrels and different strategies with using barrels. And when the bears come in right before dark, it's so much easier to see the size difference. You can see that size reference on those bears. So when they walk in front of a black barrel, and if it's a black color phase or a black phase bear, then sometimes it's really hard to tell like exactly what's going on there. So anyways, these lighter colored barrels are just so much easier to kind of distinguish. It's also better for filming. We just decided that, yeah, people can see them, but we'd rather have a nice bright barrel than a camo barrel or a dark colored barrel, especially for filming and things like that. So we're going to paint this one white. I'm going to put a black decal on it, and we've still got black barrels. We've got camo barrels, but we're slowly going to start switching these out to like a lighter colored barrel. Now, the cool part with building bait barrels is you guys are free to do whatever you want. If you don't like this style of lid, you can cut the square hole in the top. You can do a removable lid. Removable lid is a lot less work, besides the fact that you have to loosen the barrel from the tree every time you walk up there. Most of our baits are on a really steep side hill. So when we walk up, especially by yourself, and you loosen that barrel and you get it full of bait, a lot of times, you know, they're 250, 300 pounds, and you're trying to push that back up against the tree and then get around the tree to your tie down. And a lot of times it's really tough to do that. So anyways, we just rather come up, flip the lid, not mess with the tie downs, and go from there.